What we've got to do is keep muscle on and burn fat. Now, there is an enemy to all this, and it's a hormone, and it's called cortisol, Nic.
Yes. Cortisol.
So what does cortisol do?
We know cortisol that it is a hormone that is released during times of stress.
Yep.
Acute or chronic. Acute, great, no problem. We need it. Helps with focus and anti-inflammatory and all the things. Chronic, kind of the opposite effect.
Yeah.
But what it can actually do is it promotes muscle breakdown, Steve.
Oh, yeah, no, we don't want that. That's one of our two requisites. We want to lose fat and keep muscle.
Yes.
So if you don't eat for an extended period of time, what happens to your cortisol levels?
Well, cortisol levels go up because it becomes a stress response.
So just cutting calories like everyone thinks, and we just got to eat less for summer. I want to look good in my swimsuit or whatever. So that's not a good idea because you're going to lose tone. Welcome to the ATP Project. You're with your hosts, Steve and Nicole. And today we're talking about I'm going to tell you what we're not talking about today.
Yes.
We're not talking about weight loss.
No, we're not talking about weight loss. Very good, Steve.
See, that's a good intro, isn't it?
It is, yes.
We're talking about fat loss.
Yes.
And you might think that's the same thing. No.
It is not.
We want to keep the muscle and lose the fat.
Don't do that, Steve. Just get all
The girls write in and say they love it, don't they, Matt?
You're not
No, they don't.
You're not going to fit in the frame if you start flexing your muscles,
For those listening, I was flexing my muscle for some stupid reason. I don't know. There's nothing there to flex. But yeah, it's interesting because when you talk to somebody, and as a clinician, Nicole Brown, now drop of the ear, they can Google you on that. People come to you for weight loss, don't they?
They do.
But they don't. They come to you for fat loss. Has anyone ever come to you and said, Nicole, I've got too much muscle. What do I do?
No, they have not.
No, never too much tone. No. Women don't say I'm too toned and my boyfriend doesn't leave me alone. That never happens?
Never.
No.
Or girlfriend either.
Girlfriend, sorry, we've got to be, yep, exactly.
Yes. No, I actually tell a lie. I have had once, years ago, a female that said I have too much muscle. I have had that once. Oh, my God. Because she had very high testosterone levels.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So she will put on muscle extremely easy. So that was one. No, generally no. Women never say that they have too much muscle. Please get this muscle off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to do anyway. Get the muscle off. We could do a podcast on that.
If we want to do a thing on muscle loss, it'll be over in 5 seconds. You say it'll be done. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. Fat loss, on the other hand,
just live like a normal Australian and become slothy and don't exercise and don't go to the gym and don't all this. But yeah, today is fat loss, and we're not just going to give them the same old line about eating more protein. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about exercise. Of course, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about specific nutrients. We're going to talk about weird brain chemicals too, like glutamate.
Yeah. We're
going to talk about betaine. We're going to talk about all these nifty hacks, tricks, whatever the trendy word is nowadays on ticky-tocky, whatever the thing. I don't know if it's called something like that, whatever it's called. Something to get catchy and that sort of thing. But we have got some really good hacks to accelerate.
Yeah, so
fat loss.
So it's not going. I mean, we've done fat loss episodes before, but this one, because a while ago we did a bulking episode.
We did.
So we kind of thought, well, let's do one on cutting now. But the premise is, I mean, for people who are professionals, they know how to do all this sort of stuff. So this is more for people who are getting in the gym. You know, they want to change their body composition, their body shape. They've got a bit of weight to lose, a bit of body fat to lose. So how do they lose that body fat while maintaining their muscle mass? And that's important, and we'll tell you why. But you don't want to lose too much muscle, and we will tell you why again. There's all the secrets coming. But that's kind of the premise of it. So it's not just a general fat loss one. It's more for people who are getting into the gym, or, you know, you've put a bit of weight on over winter and you're like, how do I want to get this weight off. I've been training through winter. If you listen to our bulking podcast, be able to put on the muscle while you've got the fat. And then now you strip the fat and then you are left with the muscle and the great figure and physique or whatever you want. So that's kind of the premise really here. So
I love it. And just for those listening, we are recording this in spring and that's not a fluke.
No.
Because most people hit the beach in their bikinis or men's Speedos or whatever guys wear to the beach these days and they show their bodies off because it's summer.
Yeah, well, you're wearing less, aren't you? Less clothing.
Oh, I wear less.
Yeah. Well, you get for females, dresses, and males, whatever you want to wear. I don't know.
Dresses too, sometimes.
Trying to be politically.
But we're talking about, how to get rid of that fat because we've bulked and, we've clean bulked. We've done everything right. It's winter's been. We've bulked up in the gym. We've got our muscles rippling, but it's covered by a layer of fat.
Yeah. So how do we get that fat off, Steve?
I know.
And expose all the work you've done over winter in the gym to build the muscle without losing too much. And you're always going to lose a little bit of muscle.
You are
always going to lose.
That's important to note, because you're right. Because, when you do, lose body fat, you will lose some muscle, and there's different percentages people have come up with. I saw a guy online, he said you put on 50% extra muscle and you lose 35% when you skim down. Now we're going to mitigate that. We're going to work against that, and there's certain supplements and certain hormones and certain things we can do about it. And we've got papers, there's an interesting paper here, and this starts with the basics about proteins and all that sort of stuff. And this paper is a review paper, and I'm going to read out the whole thing. It's published in Nutrients. And it says weight loss strategies and the risk of skeletal muscle mass loss. So obviously we're talking about keeping the muscle. So this paper goes to all what it does. Now there's about 3 things I've got out of this paper. The first thing is protein. So we're going to mention the little bit obvious things to start with. So the average protein that they say, which are the experts,
There's smart people in the world, aren't they? They know everything.
0.8 grams of a kilo, 0.8 kilograms per, or what is it? 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. That's right.
Yeah.
So if I'm 80 kilos, that's 64 grams of protein a day. That's grossly inadequate for what we're talking about.
That's enough to survive, essentially. The IDIs essentially are what you need to avoid disease. They're not optimal levels by any means.
They're ridiculous daily intake, as I say, not recommended.
Yeah, I love that, Steve. Actually, I'm going to start saying that.
Or the recommended death intake. I have a few terrible things about that. When I used to teach, RDI, what does that stand for, everyone? And they'd say recommended daily. No, I mark them wrong. No, I wouldn't mark them wrong, but they're grossly inadequate. So this paper suggests a nice level of about 2 grams of protein per kilo. Yeah. Which I'm happy with.
I think that's good.
There's no worries about your kidneys or any other rubbish or your bones or any of that sort of crap. But that's what the paper recognised. And secondly, they also recommended resistance exercise to keep muscle. Now, you are a former competitive. Do you want to go to the category?
Body sculpt. Well,
body sculpting.
It used to be called body sculpting.
It's now called bikini.
It's called. No, Steve, we've been over this a million times. I did not do bikini. I don't want to say anything about bikini models, but bikini competitors. It's different. So when I competed back in a million years ago, there was 2 categories. There was bodybuilder and there was body sculptor. Right. That's all there was.
Okay.
So the only difference was bodybuilders were extremely muscular, very muscular, and then body sculpting was more feminine, but still had to maintain a lot of muscle mass. You still had to be cut. You had to have, so it was just a bit of a smaller version of, so not bikini.
But this is exactly what we want. This is what these people want. They want a body sculpt, don't they?
Yeah. So the goal is to, be toned. Like you want to maybe see your abs, you want to toned arms, toned legs, glutes, all that sort of thing. So we're going to tell you how to do that without damaging your muscle too much, losing too much of it, how the things to avoid, the things to do. Oops, I just hit the microphone. Matt didn't even notice. He was too busy scrolling on his phone.
He's looking photos of up when you used to compete. That's what he's looking at.
Yeah, that might not be right either.
I've seen photos. You look great. Yeah. You should be proud of that.
Yeah, no, I was very proud of it. I loved it. I wouldn't do it again now only because I couldn't do the dieting.
I just see so much hard work in that.
So much hard. It was a full-time job for me.
Yeah.
So I was PTing at the time, and I did a little bit of PTing, but then pretty much stopped and just purely did that because I trained a lot. Yeah. So it became a full-time job.
Now we have to address and this is going to sound wrong, but you know how they say the elephant in the room, and I know this is not going to sound, but what's wrong with being overweight? It's like what? Okay, you've got too much body fat on. Who cares? And there was, and there still is, I think, to this very day, a health at any size movement out there.
Yeah.
So we have to address the issues that being overweight can cause problems. Now, I know that people know obesity can cause heart disease. Did they know obesity can increase the risk of things like breast cancer, prostate cancer?
Yeah, a few different cancers, obesity.
Well, fat cells make estrogen, so you're going to be literally on the pill 24/7 because fat's there all the time.
Yeah.
One other thing I found here is that there was a study done on the brain changes of people who are overweight or obese. And the paper's titled Structural Brain Changes Associated with Overweight or Obesity. So we're not talking about like super duper obese, this is just overweight. And what they found is that overnutrition, they call it, or being overweight, it causes hypothalamic inflammation and neurodegeneration. Now, the hypothalamus is the thing that processes your memories. So that causes a problem with regard to processing memories. These studies proved consistent. Basically, there's a reduction in grey matter volume. Now, we've got white and grey matter.
Yep.
Being overweight shrinks your brain. I know. It's not good. So you get a massive volume reduction. And they believe it's due to the neuroinflammation. So you get an inflammatory brain response that clogs your cognition and clogs and actually reduces your brain size.
Wow.
So that's very scary, isn't it?
Very scary.
I found that very scary, and that's published in the Journal of Obesity 2021. So you have poor cognitive performance, and also it increases the risk of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Now, Alzheimer's is a disease of forgetfulness dramatically, and usually at a younger age. You know, when I say younger, it's not much older than me. People get
That's pretty old, Steve.
Yeah, that is pretty old, actually, yeah. You know, people in their late 50s and 60s develop Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's disease is when you get and that can happen pretty young too.
Yeah, and we're seeing so much more of these neurodegenerative diseases, aren't we? Loads of them are coming out now.
So you've got motivation to lose body fat. You look better, great. That's good. We don't care about looks as so much as natural therapists. We care about health.
That's right.
And brain. I mean, that's remarkable.
If you don't have a brain,
you're in trouble.
What do you got?
You're in trouble. So, you know, we're talking about, you know, the brains and all sorts of things like that. And what we've got to do is keep muscle on and burn fat. Now, there is an enemy to all this, and it's a hormone that we're going to hate on today, but without it you die. And it's called cortisol, Nic.
Yes. Cortisol.
So what does cortisol do?
Well, we know cortisol that it is a hormone that is released during times of stress.
Yep.
Acute or chronic. Acute, great, no problem. We need it. Helps with focus and anti-inflammatory and all the things. Chronic, kind of the opposite effect.
Yeah.
But what it can actually do is it promotes muscle breakdown, Steve.
Oh, yeah. No, we don't want that. That's one of our two requisites. We want to lose fat and keep muscle.
Yes.
So if you don't eat for an extended period of time, what happens to your cortisol levels?
Well, cortisol levels go up because it becomes a stress response.
So just cutting calories like everyone thinks, and we just got to eat less for summer. I want to look good in my swimsuit or whatever. So that's not a good idea because you're going to lose tone.
Yeah.
Now women don't like the word muscle, I found.
Don't they? See, I do.
Well, I personally, but they like the word tone. They go to the gym not to bulk up, but to tone up.
Okay.
Typically. Yeah.
Now, I mean, I used to be a PT, so I did hear they wanted to tone up.
Yeah.
So you want to put on muscle.
Yeah.
No, I just want to tone up. So you want to put on muscle. Okay. So when we're looking at losing body fat, and this is where it becomes a bit of a balance, because when you need to lose body fat, you have to reduce your calorie intake. And generally, well, actually, no, that's not true. You don't always have to adjust your exercise. So when I was doing my comp prep, I didn't really change my training schedule much at all.
Really?
It was all diet manipulation for me.
So what did you do to look as good as you did?
Diet.
Well, go, let's be specific. What was your...
we could get into that. Okay, so I'll tell you this, and this is sort of the premise for this. Okay. I ate a lot of food. But it's the right type of food at the right time, in the right sort of concentrations, the right macros, all that sort of thing. It's manipulation. So I ate probably more food when I was cutting than I did when I wasn't.
Wow.
Yeah, but this is for comp, so this is more for sort of an athletic sort of level. But if somebody is out there and they just want to lose that layer of body fat, you do need to be in a calorie deficit. To get that
That's true.
So we need to be in a calorie deficit, but then that brings about all these other issues of, okay, so if we're too far in a calorie deficit, are we going to start to burn our muscle? And remember, this sort of podcast the premise is all about preserving our muscle while we're losing our fat. So then it becomes a bit of a balance because, like you said, if you're dieting and you're not eating enough, it becomes a stressor in the body.
Yes.
Increases your cortisol level. affects your blood sugar levels. It breaks down your muscle to use for fuel. So therefore you become catabolic. So therefore you're not losing fat, you're losing muscle.
Oh my God. So yeah, it's a fine line, isn't it?
It is a really fine line. Yeah. So we need to sort of manipulate to a degree that we're going to get the body fat down, but without affecting our muscle mass too much. As we said at the beginning, you will lose a little bit of muscle mass, which is why when you do your bulking phase or, you've got a bit more body fat on, you try to build up as much muscle as you can. And when you're in a calorie surplus and you can train really hard, you can build a lot of muscle, and then you strip that off and then you're only taking away minimal muscle, strip the fat, minimal muscle, and then boom, you look great.
And that makes sense. So let's take this scenario of, say, I'm trying to lose, I'm going to say weight, even though we're trying to lose. And let's say I just cut out food and I'm hungry all day and I'm sitting there and I'm starving and you get stressed out, cortisol levels go up.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why, if I don't eat for a prolonged period of time, blood sugar levels drop, okay? Where do you get blood sugar levels from if you're not eating it? You break down your muscle.
Yeah.
To make, like, alanine is an amino acid that can be go through what they call gluconeogenesis, which makes sugar, and your body needs sugar at a certain level.
Yeah.
It doesn't not need sugar. If you don't eat sugar, your body can make it.
Yes.
There's no such thing as an essential sugar. There's an essential fatty acids, there's essential aminos, no essential sugars because your body can make it.
Yeah.
The problem is it makes it from your muscle.
That's right. Yeah.
It can release from your glycogen, but when that runs out, you're going to become very hungry and very stressed. Cortisol goes up, muscle levels go down. We don't want that.
No.
So you're going to cut calories a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't want to be hungry. You don't want to be stressed.
Yeah. So,
Really
look, so for someone that's out there that just wants to lose the muscle, lose the fat, maintain the muscle that they've worked really hard for over winter, you sort of look as a general ballpark, sort of 25% below your maintenance level of calories.
Okay.
So as a ballpark, and then you can sort of manipulate from there as to what works best for you. And that doesn't mean that if you're doing like a 12-week or a 16-week or a 20-week or whatever, how long you're going to be doing this sort of protocol for, it doesn't mean that you want to stick with 25% below your maintenance. And when we say maintenance level, your maintenance level for your ideal weight is where you sort of calculate your calorie intake.
Yeah.
So if you're 70 kilos and your ideal weight is 65 or 60, that's kind of where you calculate your calories from, not at 70.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
But then that will manipulate throughout the time. So if and we can talk about plateaus, and we can talk about if you're starting to become catabolic and lose too much muscle, what you have to do. So say you're on a 2,000 calorie diet, is just to maintain the body weight that you are. You would cut that to 1,500 calories.
Right.
And then work from there. But as I said, that's very malleable, and that's just a good basic sort of start.
And with our study, we want to have 2 grams per kilogram body. So 2 grams per kilo. If I'm 80 kilos, then now I'm on 160 grams of protein. Let's round that to say 200. Calories. You times that by 4, and that's 800 calories. So about half of my calories comes in from protein when I'm on this. So I've upped my protein, yet cut my calories.
Yes.
So half of my calories, about 50% of my diet should be lean proteins to start with. So and that's to maintain the protein levels.
Yes.
But also it's very good for satiety and stops you becoming hungry, because you've never eaten a steak and go, oh, I'm craving another steak now. But if you have some sugars and carbohydrates, you tend to jump the cravings.
Exactly.
So we're upping the protein but cutting the calories.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So that's sort of kind of a start when we're talking about calorie deficit. So losing body fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit. Yep. So that's kind of where you would start. And then you're ticking along and you're like, okay, cool, I'm losing weight, but am I losing body fat or am I losing a bit of body fat and a bit of muscle? I don't know. So doing DEXAs is a good way to sort of tell along the way as well. Doing a DEXA test to get your body composition, see how much body fat you have, and you can track it to see how you're going. Now, a DEXA
scan, for those who don't know what it is, it's a scan that measures how much muscle and fat you've got, not your weight.
Yes.
There are other methods like bioimpedance, which can also do it, but DEXA scans are probably they're considered kind of the gold standard. Yeah. God, we looked like we rehearsed this when we said that, didn't we?
It's like we were one brain steam. Between us. No.
I think it was a fluke, that, actually. But yeah, it's a gold standard.
Hanging out too long, Steve.
And what I love about these things is their objective.
Yeah.
And what I don't like when it comes to this sort of stuff is when people say, I think I've lost weight because my shirt fits me differently, and it's like, well, you've lost size.
Yeah.
What size is it? Fat or muscle? We don't know.
Yeah.
How do you know?
And that's the thing. I think there's a lot of people. I mean, our audience probably knows this stuff, but people lose weight. So if you're just losing weight, you shrink your size of your body, but your body shape stays the same.
Yeah.
But if you lose body fat, you can completely change your body shape.
Yes.
So, and that's kind of the goal, because you're maintaining that muscle mass underneath, and the muscle is what creates our body shape. Obviously, with with women, the small waist and the big shoulders; with the men, the big shoulders, big back, all that sort of thing. So you can completely change your body shape by losing body fat and building muscle.
Yeah.
So, and you can actually end up heavier. We can talk about that at the end. Heavier. With more muscle and less body fat than more fat and average muscle. So, some people say, well, I've lost 10 kilos, but I look kind of the same but smaller. Or someone says, well, I'm actually 70 kilos now where I was 60 before I started training. That's because they're actually putting on muscle, which is heavier than fat. But anyway, I don't know why I said that, but that can be the case. But in the general population, we're sort of sculpting our body.
Yeah,
we're not just shrinking the body down, we're sculpting it. So that's pretty important as well. So that's maintaining that muscle underneath. So calorie deficit to start with.
Yep.
But then, as you said, we want to try to maintain as much muscle as we can.
Okay.
And so what can happen if we are not eating enough calories?
Okay.
So this is the sort of thing we now need to look at. Hormonal changes when we're under eating, all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
The hormones that are really important for maintaining muscle mass, for muscle protein synthesis, all of that sort of thing. So
a hormone could be like insulin.
Yeah.
Because insulin binds with growth hormone to form insulin-like growth factor 1, which really grows muscle mass. So what happens to insulin then when we're cutting all these, and we're cutting carbohydrates and we're cutting calories, basically?
Well, because a lot of people think insulin, you don't want high insulin resistance, all that sort of stuff. You want it low. Well, yes, you want it lower, but you don't want it too low. And what can make it go low is calorie restriction.
Yeah.
And also carbohydrate restriction can also make it go lower.
Yeah, we've picked on insulin, we pick on cortisol, but we want them low. We don't want them zero. We want some there because you still want some muscle growth.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit, but not too much.
No, so it helps to uptake the glucose to get into the muscle.
Yep.
So, and that's why when you're going to do a heavy workout, having a little bit of carbohydrate or some sort of sugars is really good, because it gets into the muscle and you're utilising that sugars in the muscle rather than breaking the muscle down. So it spares the muscle.
Basically. Yeah, it does.
So that's why you don't want to have super low insulin, because then you aren't getting that uptake into the muscle. It's also helps to shunt nutrients to the muscles.
Yep,
that sort of thing as well.
Absolutely.
Replenishes your glycogen stores, helps with your muscle contractions and things. So if you're in the gym, you want to have good glycogen stores and all that sort of thing. So you want to have not too low insulin, believe it or not.
No, it's a bit of a, everyone says, oh, insulin's the enemy and all that sort of stuff. We've got it low, but not super duper low.
No.
Now I wanted to ask you about this hormone that some of our listeners would have heard of, but some may not have, leptin.
Leptin.
What is leptin?
This basically is what tells us we're not hungry anymore.
Yep.
And it can go down with fat loss.
Okay.
Which means that you could actually, body will actually start to conserve its energy, so you're not going to lose as much fat. So leptin, have you ever heard of leptin resistance?
Well, leptin resistance is fascinating. Leptin is what they call an adapokine, just for the nerds out there. And that's a hormone produced from your fat cells when they're full to say, hey, stop eating. You're getting fat. You know what I mean? Now, why do obese people still become hungry? That's because they develop leptin resistance, and that's to do with higher triglycerides in the blood. Now, where do triglycerides come from? We used to think it was fat, but we now know it's carbohydrates.
Yep, carbohydrates and sugar.
So if you eat a high carbohydrate, sugary diet, that's why you feel hungry more.
Yeah. Yep.
It's leptin resistance.
Leptin resistance. So we're going into a calorie deficit and we're going to exercise more because we thought, well, we've got to eat less and then we've got to get the fat off. So we're going to train more. So therefore we're stressing the body out. We're increasing our cortisol, which is going to break down our muscle.
Yep.
We're creating low insulin because we're not eating as much. Therefore, we're not going to get as much protein muscle synthesis, and we're going to shunt all amino acids to the muscles to help them. And then we're going to create low leptin levels, so we're going to get hungrier.
Oh,
so that's not going to go well.
Bad, isn't it? It sounds like a recipe for failure. So you do have to. You do have to have some discipline here.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be eating less. You're going to be eating more protein. So you're still having, say, breast chicken. So it'll still feel full. But there will be a calorie deficit. You will be suffering mildly with hunger. You've just got to resist that. Because, I drive home past loads of places I can easily get food. And around 4:30, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And I'd be tempted to go in there and grab a very cheap, chocolate bar and snack on that on the way home, or chips and that sort of thing. Really easy to do. But there's food going around the office. We're all pretty friendly here at the office, so there's lots of food we bring in, and I'm probably guilty of that, aren't I?
You are. You actually, Steve. I'm
actually the one.
You are.
I was going to pick on someone here. It's going to be me.
You. Yeah.
Well, I do bring in over a kilo of nuts for people, and
you do.
The guy behind the camera likes them, and you like them. And
I get you apples.
I'll give you an apple. Snow White.
Some good snacks. So, yes. So there's some of there's some of the hormones that are involved, and then testosterone. Steve, obviously, everyone knows about testosterone.
It's
basically, it helps to build muscles, anabolic. So it's the most anabolic hormone in the body, really.
I love it.
That one helps with the muscle preservation, and also women. We're not talking about just men here. Women, we all know, produce testosterone just in smaller amounts, but again, need it to maintain muscle mass, all that sort of thing. So it stimulates muscle protein synthesis. Testosterone enhances muscle fibre growth. Increases IGF-1. You talked about.
That's what we want. That
inhibits muscle breakdown. It's anti-catabolic, obviously.
Right, yeah. So this is very important. So let's say you're you're sitting opposite a middle-aged man with lower testosterone, who's trying to lose body fat. And
like a reality hero?
Okay, so let's say that I'm trying to be the devil's advocate. Say you've got lower testosterone, like middle-aged men like me do. What do we do about that? It's just lowering because we're aging. You know?
So or extreme dieting will also reduce your testosterone.
It will.
So we're highlighting all the hormones that are involved in anabolism and muscle growth, and also if you go too far, catabolic, and they reduce all that muscle growth and that sort of thing. So this is where the balance comes in.
Yeah.
If we go too extreme with dieting, too extreme with our exercise, low carbohydrate, things like that, we're really going to impact our muscle quality. Yeah. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. And I'm going to say women more than men in this instance.
Of course women go wrong more than men. We all know. We took a survey. We agree on that.
Because women are scared of calories. They're scared of calories.
That's true.
I see a lot of clients that and I would say females, probably I'd say 60, 70% are under eating.
Yeah,
just in a general day, under eating. So then and they're not dieting, they're just under eating because they want to lose weight, but they're not really dieting as such. But then if they diet, they're extremely under eating, and then they are over exercising. So they're basically causing all of these hormones to really become imbalanced, and they're creating more of a problem for themselves than they would have even at the beginning, because now they've got less muscle mass.
Yeah.
More inflammation, all of that sort of thing. So the inflammation is going to make them hold on to body fat as well. So that's where we have to be really careful with what we're taking in, and the quality and the quantity and the macros. And we're going to talk about exercise as well, the best exercise for fat loss.
Yeah.
But yes, a male with low testosterone, as you said, what do you do? What
I would do is look at things like with all this, you could look at things as supplements to keep testosterone levels at elevated levels, so you lose less muscle.
Yes.
You can lose some.
Yeah.
So tonkat ali, shilajit, ashwagandhas, those sorts of herbs, panic ginseng, boron, zinc, those sort of nutrients that help with testosterone can mitigate some of the loss of testosterone that these men typically go through when they fast, or because as you eat less, your testosterone levels drop.
Yeah.
So that's problematic. So as you've said here, aging, stress, extreme dieting, about 3 points to lose testosterone. That's quite remarkable.
Yeah.
So we can look at those supplements too. And one I like is ashwagandha, because it helps you sleep as well.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And that's when you can grow your muscles back.
Yeah, very good. It is a male, because we have in herbal medicine, we have male herbs and we have female herbs. Particularly so ashwagandha is a very male herb, but very good for females as well.
Oh, yeah.
But any of those herbs, along with training, because you want to promote your Growth hormone, Steve.
Well, growth hormone comes out when you sleep.
It does. So growth hormone is another hormone that's involved when we're looking at, muscle protein synthesis and muscle growth and fat loss and all that sort of thing. So it also promotes muscle protein synthesis.
Yeah, see, people think growth hormone just makes you grow.
Yeah, no.
It makes you grow muscle.
Yeah, it makes you grow muscle.
Yeah,
so
gotcha.
it plays a really key role in muscle recovery and repair. Mm-hmm. It increases IGF-1 production, which we said about the IGF-1, factor 1. Stimulates fat metabolism, Steve.
Oh, get me an injection of this stuff. I want more muscle.
It increases lipolysis, which is the breakdown of your fat stores, so your body can use them as energy.
Love it.
So therefore, that's sparing your muscle tissue from being broken down and improves recovery. It promotes tissue repair, all that sort of stuff. So IGF-1 also really good.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. That's when growth hormone binds with insulin.
Yeah,
you get
exactly.
IGF-1,
Yeah. So therefore, if you got low levels of your growth hormone, then there was, I should say, years ago, there was, everyone was taking growth hormone. I don't know if that's still a thing.
It's still a thing.
It's still
a thing.
Okay, so people are taking growth hormone as they get older.
It looks like I take growth hormone.
I'd love to take growth hormone, but there's the cancer in
slight risk of cancer.
I should say that. So yeah,
injecting with growth hormone is one thing, but getting a good night's sleep helps you release more growth hormone.
That's
naturally.
Right, exactly, 100%. So then there's the optimized sleep when you're trying to lose body fat as well, and there's a few reasons for that. So if you're not sleeping well, one, you're not optimizing your production of growth hormone overnight.
Yep.
You're increasing your cortisol levels because that's a stressor on the body. Therefore, you're breaking down your muscle. Mm-hmm. So optimal sleep is also really important when you're undertaking a fat loss protocol.
And lack of sleep stimulates the appetite.
That's right.
So we don't want to, I know it's sort of like, sleep's good, but there's lots of good reasons why sleep's very important.
Yeah. And in this case, on this topic, it helps with your fat loss and your maintaining muscle mass. So sleep is another factor that's really important.
Love it.
Yeah. So the hormones are super important. So your testosterone, your growth hormone both stimulate IGF-1 production. Mm-hmm. That helps with muscle hypertrophy. Yep. Insulin enhance the uptake of nutrients, which fuels the anabolic processes. And then they all work as anti-catabolic agents. So anti-catabolic meaning catabolic means breaking down. Anabolic is growth, basically. So therefore you want to optimize all these hormones when you're going through your fat loss protocol journey.
Let's call it a journey. I want to now cheat a little bit. Can I cheat yet?
Yeah.
With some supplements?
Yes.
All right, there's a couple of supplements that we should be aware of to cheat your way through this. Now, that's not to say don't ignore everything we've just said because it's more important than the supplements.
Yeah, because if you just take the supplements and you don't, and you just starve yourself and exercise and take supplements, it's not going to work.
Yeah, you're nuts. Yeah. Now, there is a substance called betaine, which is sometimes found in protein powders, for example, and you can take it as a supplement. Now, it's one of my favourites because back in 2013, there was a published paper in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition 2013 that actually tested this stuff on what happens if you took this while you were training compared to a placebo. So it's a placebo-controlled trial, which is a really powerful tool because they gave it pre-treatment and then they test the muscle mass post-treatment. And what they found was that in this particular study, pre-treatment, they actually, the placebo group, nothing changed in the muscle mass. But in the treatment group, the lean body mass went up during this. But they lost weight. So they lost weight while increasing muscle mass.
Wow.
And the reason was because their body fat percentage went down by a dramatic amount. See the finger there? I'm putting it up to the camera if people are wondering. So you can see, and this is the lean body mass there. You can see it's slightly improved.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's remarkable, isn't it? So people put on muscle while they lost weight.
Yeah, wow.
With betaine. Compared to a placebo, you can see the placebo, no changes. Yeah. So that's a randomised placebo-controlled trial. Very powerful trial. So look for protein powders that have that sort of stuff in it. Yeah. Both results are significant.
Yeah.
So quite incredible So that's a bit of a cheap one.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Now, there's a couple of, there's probably one other cheap supplement that I love for this, and that's carnitine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, carnitine takes fat that's in your body that let's say you've gone for a run or gym, whatever it is. There's fat floating around in your cells because adrenaline finds the fat cells, releases it. Yep. I'm holding up my drink bottle here for some stupid reason.
I don't know why.
I'm just sort of,
but I'm just going to go
most
with
people listen to this. I'm just pretty daft, so I'll put it down. So imagine you're
that's
out.
The liquid fat there, Steve.
That's the liquid. That's the liquid fat.
Yeah.
It's kind of, actually, it's not too dissimilar when you. Now I'm not going to drink it.
No, you're drinking now. No.
It's got good magnesium in it,
It does.
and collagen and all sorts of healthy stuff for your skin. So when adrenaline hits the fat cell, fats get released in the bloodstream, and then carnitine forms this stuff called carnityl palmityl transferase, grabs the fat, puts it into the mitochondria to be burned as energy.
Yep.
So a really cool supplement to take while you're doing all this is to make sure you have enough carnitine to get rid of the fat.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's a good one too.
Little tip on people who have any thyroid issues.
Oh, yes.
Carnitine, be careful of it, but it's over a certain amount. So I think you can have up to, anyone can have up to 500 milligrams without any problem.
Yeah.
But if you're going to overdose, if you're going to go really high levels of L-carnitine, be careful if you have thyroid, underactive thyroid, Hashimoto's, that type of thing. If you have Graves, then go for it, like downloads of it.
Oh, yeah, it does, yeah.
But yes, carnitine's really good. So it's not a fat burner as such, but it liberates the fat and then utilises that as energy.
Correct.
So
I love it.
Yeah, so that's a really good one as well.
That is a good one. I mean, we've got some other chemical things later, but I want to talk to you because this is where you're a personal trainer as well. I want to talk about.
I don't train people anymore though, but I am.
Oh yeah,
technically still a personal trainer.
You used to
train myself.
Do you have to read? I don't even know this. Do you?
Well, yeah. Well, we're recording, so yes, you do. No, but you do. It's a bit like you do. I always did. I was with Fitness Australia for a long time.
Oh, yeah. I remember them.
But there's a lot of trainers getting around now that they're not registered. No, I think I still have a registration with Fitness Australia. I haven't checked, but no, I don't train people anymore.
We're both registered.
Too busy in the clinic.
Yeah, well, I'm still registered as a naturopath.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, well, you are. You work as one.
Lucky I am.
Well, I'm tempted to kind of, like, I always think, what if it's $200 a year or something? It's pretty cheap, so I might as well keep it. But
yeah, you can do a cheap one where you're not just treating patients.
That's me.
Keep your membership.
That's me. That's I'm the cheapest of the cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, like if in the old days you had to be all this fluffy duffy stuff and health fundy stuff.
We don't do health funds anymore because they took that off us. So that was thanks very much, government.
That was a big thing in the day.
Yeah. What, the health funds?
Yeah. Did you know I was on the review council for that in Canberra in about...
Of course. I'm not. You know what, Steve? I'm not shocked because you come out with stuff every time.
They had to have... Look, a little bit off topic, but they had to have different industry experts and I was the nutrition person. Oh. And at the end of my talk, they decided to keep nutrition on the health funds.
Go, Steve-o. See if everyone can thank Steve.
You want to know something stupid?
What?
They kept massage, they dropped herbal medicine, and they dropped naturopathy.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, so so if someone comes to see me, they can claim on their health fund if it's nutrition, but I never do just nutrition. So if I prescribe herbs, I'll get in trouble. Yeah. So what's the point? So
I know.
It's a whole nother conversation about why they took that off us. But anyway.
It's just, geez, I'll tell you what, it was an interesting time in those days. It was very, but I think it's daft. I mean, they cited because I went there like a nerd, like I'm doing today. This is how I talk to people, and we were given 15 minutes. Yeah. And I think I had 17 studies on nutrition relating to supplementation, and I just went through them, bang, 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 bang. Worst talk ever because it was just 50 seconds a slide, And they were impressed by that. So that was good.
Any naturopaths out there can thank nutritionists out there. You can thank Steve for having your health funds.
The herbalist saying, "Well," but I wasn't talking about the herbs there. It was someone else. So it wasn't me. Right. I wasn't talking about the I mean, it was such a. I mean, herbal medicine. The evidence in herbal medicine is astronomical.
Yeah, it's a very science-based industry.
It's
believe it or not.
Hugely these people sitting there drinking their aspirin, which is made from a herb, or taking their statins, which is from a herb, and. Or taking their bloody diabetic medication, which is probably from a herb if it's metformin. Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on, get real.
Anyways.
Look, pretty crazy. All right. I do want to talk to you about training, because this is your area. What do you recommend for keeping muscle and burning fat?
Well, resistance training, obviously.
Oi, so people are resistant to training. That's fine.
People are resistant to training.
Let's get a bit specific. What would you do? What's
okay? So this is where exercise can you want to be. You don't want to just go hard, and this is what I see. As I said before, you get particularly women, some men, and not all women either, undereat, overtrain, overexercise, and then they come to me and they're like, "Oh, I just can't put on muscle. I'm losing my muscle. I've lost my cycle. I'm just I can't lose the weight. My brain fog, blah blah blah, whatever." They're just completely depleted themselves and so even the over exercising, they're breaking down their muscle too much.
Yeah.
So you have to, again, like with the diet stuff, you have to have a good balance with the exercise. So you start with, so the resistance training is the foundation. And to be honest, resistance training should be just a given throughout your life, no matter if you're dieting or not.
I totally
it
agree.
Should be.
Yeah, it just should be part of your life.
Every day. It's the best anti-aging, not supplement, best anti-aging prescription you can ever have.
I agree. I think it's I don't know why people, I know why people don't do it because it's a pain in the ass and I don't like it. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I like it. I don't like training my legs, but I like everything else.
I don't like training anything. It's like there's nothing good about going to the gym. It's like, but I'm trying to be the devil there, but I'm also being honest.
Yeah, well, that's true. A lot of people don't. Yeah, I go through stages where I hate it. But
people ask me how I get motivated. It's like I'm not motivated to go to the gym, but I'm disciplined to go to the gym.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's vastly more important than being motivated. What am I? Oh, I don't feel like. It's like, well, your body feels like it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be motivated. You just have to be disciplined.
Yeah. Discipline
Turn up.
is the key, definitely. So if you're not using your muscles, they're more likely to get broken down. Your body break them down, use them as energy.
Yep.
Because muscles are a very metabolically active organ.
They are.
And so they take a lot of energy to maintain. So if you're like, well, if you're not going to use them, I don't want to put all my energy into maintaining muscle mass if you're not going to use them, so I'll just break them down. So the old use it or lose it is like very true. You got to use it. So
all right, so how often do I need to go to the gym? I mean, if everyone tries to, and I don't know how you put up with this in practice, but people try and negotiate their health away.
Yeah.
Okay. So minimum, how often should you go to the gym?
Minimum, how often should you strength train? People might be surprised. 2 to 3 times each muscle group, 2 to 3 times per week, each muscle group.
Okay.
So, that, and this applies to just your general, doesn't apply to professionals, bodybuilders. Bodybuilders will do, a split where they're doing one muscle group a week, a lot of them, not so much, but that's pretty standard. But no, minimum 2 times a week at least. So if you're, say for instance, you do upper body and lower body, so then you do maybe 4 days minimum. So you do upper body 1 day, lower body, repeat. So minimum 2, 3, even better. So, but really anything, so 2 to 3, but 2, definitely 2 minimum. You want to be training your body part at least twice, each muscle group twice a week. So that's kind of, and some people go, I just do it once a week and then I move on, or, I train my body part, I train full body once a week, or I do an upper body and a lower body and that's it. It's not really enough. You need to stimulate each muscle 2 to 3 times per week, each muscle. So, and that's not including, obviously, then you got your sets and all that sort of stuff, so we'll just talk about.
So that's the big picture. So sort of what I do is I do like today I ran in the morning. And, I've only got time to exercise once today, and let's assume that everyone's like that. Tomorrow, I'm going to go do upper body at the gym, and the day after that, I'm going to do lower body, and the next after that, I'm going to run again. And so I sort of, I try and give myself 2 days rest between resistance. What do you think about that? Yeah,
definitely. So the rest is that's what, I know that there are specific protocols for different things, but I think when we're talking about general public, just trying to lose some body fat, you don't have to be super strict on, it's got to be this many sets and this many rest days. And it's like, well, everyone's very different.
Very.
And some people respond really well and some people need a lot more recovery time. So recovery between training a body part, it depends on how you feel the next day. So for instance, some days because I sort of do 3-day splits. So I do chest and back, and then I do shoulders and arms, and then I do legs. And then I'd just do it again. So 3 days, and I'll just do it again for 3 days.
Because you don't run.
No, I don't run.
You're smart then.
I do not run. Yeah, so I'll just do 3 days, 3 days, 3 days. And I might throw in a rest day here and there. But sometimes I might go for 12 days without a rest day. But I recover really easily. So I don't have an issue. But then if I'm really sore, I'll have a rest day and I'll wait till, particularly if I say, for instance, leg day. And if you pull up really sore with legs, you want to really wait till you've recovered pretty well until they're not sore again, because if the muscle's broken down, you've got a lot of acid, you don't want to go back in and try and do it again. One, you're going to have a terrible workout, and two, it's not good for the muscle anyway. I used to squat
and pain always back at legs. It just killed me.
Yeah. So the rest days are what's going to work for you. So obviously you don't want to do a body part and have a week off and say, well, I just need a week to recover, because there's a whole other issue there.
It's funny, the great Ronnie Coleman that we talk a bit about here, who's probably the best bodybuilder of all time, 8-time Olympian for those who don't know, super duper extreme to the nth, but he was the world expert at growing muscle and then cutting back, because he literally was the best bodybuilder of all time.
Yeah.
He used to have after Olympia, I didn't know this, but he took 3 months off the gym because he was that exhausted from his neuro thing. But when he was training, he would train one body part per week, but it was an absolute blasting it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the morning, he'd do biceps, for example, just the little biceps, and then in the afternoon, he'd do calves.
Yeah.
Incredible bodybuilder.
Yeah. And that's at an extreme level. Yeah. You know, if you're bodybuilding, yes, I used to do that. I used to do one body part a week when I was building my body. So it depends what your goal is. But yeah, he was very extreme. But so a lot of these recommendations come from Bill Campbell, who's amazing. Look Bill Campbell up. He's incredible with muscle growth. It's his thing. And then sets. Oh, no, volume first, Steve. So we'll go volume. Yeah.
All right.
So people say, well, you know, how many reps, and, you know, do I do
it's a good question.
three sets of 10 reps, and that's
the classic.
Yeah, well, no, you just go to, intensity is the biggest thing. So intensity is one. So, you know, you can get someone I always used to bicep curls because it's easy to do on camera. They'll just do a bicep curl. But you got to have intensity. Yeah. You got to switch the muscle on. You got to squeeze the muscle. So intensity. And then Bill Campbell actually recommends going to near failure, not failure, but near failure.
Right, okay.
So say you get to 10 reps and you can hardly do it, in the 11th rep, you're like, I can't even get it out. Yeah. So he would say maybe go to, say, 8 or 9 reps. So near failure, but not complete failure.
Right.
So you're still activating all the motor units, you're activating the muscle fibers, all that sort of thing if you're going to near failure. So that's sort of what he recommends. And then 3 sets, pretty much. So you do 3 sets, and then anything after that. So you can do 4 sets, 5 sets, 6 sets, whatever you want. But after 3 sets, they show that it doesn't have any sort of added benefit for protein synthesis. It's not amplified by doing the extra sets.
There you go.
So he said even after 1 set that it starts to reduce a little bit. So 3 is a good kind of number.
Yeah, good number. Because you don't want to be there all day. I mean, shit.
No, and look, I find 3. I do 3. I usually do 3 sets because I always have. Yeah, and it can take a bit of time, but I don't really count my reps as such anymore. I just go to near failure. Yeah. I go to far enough so that I can do another set and another set. But you want to be pretty spent by the end of it.
Well, yeah, and the problem with doing the classic 3 by 10 is the first 10 are easier than the last 10. Yeah. So I do about like 10, then 9, then about 8, because that's about all I can do, because you get fatigued.
Yeah.
I mean, there's famous bodybuilders like Platts, the famous blonde bodybuilder who used to go to absolute extreme exhaustion and do 50 sets, 50 reps. Yeah. And then you get these other guys, Mendes, who was a famous bodybuilder, and he would do 1 set. And so there's got to be something and it seemed they were great bodybuilders. Yeah. So there seems to be some variety on this, which is really interesting.
And that's the thing, because when I did my study in PT, it was just this is for hypertrophy, this is for strength, this is for whatever, and you had your protocols. But it's a bit like natural medicine. It's not everyone's different. Yeah. Everyone responds differently, so everyone recovers differently. So it's very individualized again. So you can play around with it a little bit, but really at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you really have that intensity there and you're really burning through the muscle, and then you're, burning yourself out so that you've done your 3 sets. You're like, yeah, I'm pretty spent with that to work the muscle. I think that some women really struggle a little bit with that. They get a little bit nervous, I guess. Some women, they don't like the pain. Not all women. And they kind of they won't go heavy. And that's the other thing, you do have to go heavy.
You do.
You're like, there's just no point doing lightweight. There's just no point. Or doing, if you can do 10 reps with a weight that's relatively heavy, but you can do it okay, you're not going heavy enough. You need to be heavy. So so that's the thing. And then the rest in the recovery, again, as I said, depends on how well you recover. If you can get back in the gym the next day and you're not sore, and you're not losing muscle mass, or you maintaining muscle mass, then fine, go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, I remember in the early days of my 30s when I was doing heavy sets, and I'd be grunting a little bit. I got told off in the gym for grunting once, for exerting myself. And this lady came over and says, "I'm just trying to follow the television." So you're in a gym.
The movie's on. Can you put it down?
Because people sit on the bikes and there used to be TV screen. Now everyone's got their own TV, and their phone is a TV. Like my wife goes to the gym and watches Netflix on it. Yes.
Beck.
Oh yeah. Well, you ask her about that when you see her.
We'll ask her about that.
She goes to the gym and she'll download the movie, and that. But what I like about that is she can stay at the gym a lot longer because it's more enjoyable.
Well, yeah, there's that. She's sitting there doing cardio, Steve.
Well, that's what she does. She's a big cardio.
Well, cardio. So she's not doing strength training.
She does, but she on the treadmill for frigging 45 minutes. I don't know how you do that.
No, I have a treadmill at home. I find I struggle.
I walk to the gym and then go start the exercise then and walk home.
I walk to the gym too, and I walk home.
You better explain your set up now to everyone.
I have a gym at home.
I don't. I have to actually go to a gym, and it's only up the road. It's about half a k. It'd be stupid to drive there.
You wouldn't be stupid to drive there.
No, well, actually, Beck drives there. I shouldn't have said that.
She has to keep all her energy so she can do a cardio when she gets there. So.
She's complaining that she does all this cardio, and it's 2 hours parking. She says it's not long enough, and it's like, oh my god, if 2 hours.
All right, Beck. So Beck needs to listen to this podcast because she's doing too much cardio.
She is
not enough resistance training.
Well, absolutely, I agree. I think she should be smashing at the gym.
Well, I mean, as we said, the weight training is the basis, the foundation, and then you build your cardio around it, Steve.
Oh, you're going to get in her ear.
What do we do with cardio?
Well, we're going to get to that, but I just can't believe she's so... Like I don't know how she stays there for those, unless she's looking at all the guys there, I guess.
I mean, I used to spend hours in the gym because I loved it. I loved the environment. I kind of miss the gym environment. It's just me and my dog now in the gym. Yeah, I love that motivation, the environment. And I'm not going to say that, actually. Let's move on.
Go on.
Keep going.
Go on.
No, I'm very competitive. No, I'm very competitive. No, I didn't perv on anyone. I put my headphones in. If anyone spoke to me, I'd be like, no.
I never look at the girls in the gym either.
No, I didn't.
No, I don't either.
But what I did do is I would watch if I had someone training beside me, I would try to lift heavier than them because I'm very competitive.
Oh my God.
So I used to try and outdo some of the men.
Okay, Ronnie Coleman.
Years ago, I could not. These days, I couldn't. But
did you yell out, lightweight, baby? Yeah, buddy.
No, I didn't.
Ronnie Coleman.
No, I was very quiet, kept to myself. But cardio, Steve. So where does cardio come in when we're trying to lose fat and maintain muscle mass?
Because traditionally, I'm going back to the 80s here, that if you wanted to put on weight, you go to the gym. If you wanted to lose weight, you go for a walk, run, swim, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like that, is it?
No, it's not like that.
Please enlighten us.
So cardio, it's great. It's a great fat loss stimulus. So it's really good. It's a really good tool to use for fat loss, but you don't want to overuse it, Steve, or underuse it. So, and the thing is, if you're doing a lot of cardio, you can then you start to burn into your muscle. So you want to be really careful. You don't want to do too much of it. You don't want to do a lot of long cardio, like 2 hours, like Beck in the gym. You don't want to do 2 hours of cardio.
She's going to have a go at me when she hears this. I go to, she does lift weights as well, but oh God, I don't want to. But
sorry, Beck. This is your husband that started.
I would love to see her focus more on the weights. You know what I mean? No, just for her own health. Because I've just read all these studies about weights being so good for your health.
Just as you are, so
she's hot.
She is. She's gorgeous.
And I'd marry her. Or hang on, I have. Oh, it's too late. But it's like, it's not about looking hot or anything. I just because I just see all these studies about how good resistance exercise is.
Backpedal Okay.
Quick,
I don't want to be in your
change the
house.
topic. What's the next thing?
So cardio. So cardio should be part of a fat loss campaign.
Good.
But you don't want to overdo the cardio.
No.
So you basically your as I said, your resistance training is the main focus, and then you bring in your cardio as just a bit more of a fat loss stimulus. So what I usually say is do a couple of good cardio sessions a week. I wouldn't be doing heavy cardio every day, and I don't include walking here. So I walk twice a day and weight train.
You have to walk twice a day.
I have to walk twice a day.
You got a land shark that needs going
I have
out.
no choice, even if I don't want to walk twice a day.
And he looks gorgeous, your dog. I say, I'd love to pick on him.
Yeah, but you can't, can you? Because he's perfect.
He's perfect.
He is perfect.
He used to have big ears.
Yeah, he fits them now.
He fits them now, exactly. Yeah. And then he used to have funny ears that were flopped over or something. Yeah, they're perfectly straight.
Yeah, he is handsome. He's the handsomest dog ever.
Like my cat, handsome.
Oh, yeah, gorgeous looks like those. Yeah. So walking is great. I love walking for just exercise. But again, you can overwalk. And I have had women that walk 3-4 hours a day.
Oh, really?
I've got to get my 30,000, 40,000 steps in.
40,000?
I have had women say that, yes. So cardio, and, again, you don't want to be doing a lot of really super high intensity cardio, but you can do a couple of HIIT trainings a week because they're really good for fat burning and sort of longer term fat burning. But don't over cardio. I think that's the key a lot of women really need to sort of listen to is do not over cardio because you're then going to burn too much muscle off, and therefore that's not what we're trying to get to.
No, we want to keep the muscle.
And what I will say, which we didn't say at the start, perimenopause, late perimenopause and menopausal women, a lot of this stuff doesn't apply because we've got to change it again because the stuff that usually works for cycling women, I know, sorry guys, but this is for guys too, but we're talking about women as well. Cycling women, non-cycling women, it's a whole other ball game. So you've got to change things up again. So the foundation does, but you might have to change things a little bit. But again, what's high intensity cardio? A lot of women do every day that increases your cortisol. And what do we say cortisol do? It's catabolic, breaks down muscle, all that sort of thing.
It's not so good for your mental health either. I mean, a little bit of exercise is good, but too much cortisol, problematic.
Yeah, totally it is. So you want to balance your cardio. Don't use your cardio as your main exercise for fat loss. Use it as sort of around, a bit like protein. So protein is your foundation and then your fat and your carbohydrates are worked around that. Same with your fat loss protocol. Your resistance training is your foundation and then you work your cardio around that. So, and your recovery exercises as well. So if you want to do some stretching, yoga, that recovery exercise comes in there as well. It's all part of it if you wanted to do that. So be careful with your cardio. Don't overdo it if you're trying to lose body fat because you're going to burn into your muscle if you're doing too much of it.
That's funny because that was the olden days where you just go out and just run for hours.
Yeah, on the aerobics days. Back in the aerobics. Les Mills came out and everyone was doing the aerobics.
Yeah, that's right.
Step aerobics. And
God, I remember Richard Simmons actually. He passed away about a few months ago.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that wasn't in the news.
Oh, yeah.
I watched the news anyway, so it might have been in the news.
Yeah, he was like, wasn't that old?
No, it wouldn't have been. Would have been his 60s, 70s.
Yeah, not a lot older than me.
No, not much older than you. So
not many people are much older than me.
That's true, Steve. That's true. So, yeah.
No, poor Richard Simmons. It was like, because he was the happiest guy on television.
He was actually.
Very happy.
He lost all that weight, so of course he was happy.
Well, yeah, he was, he's so emotional. He was so, so there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Go. So that's sort of a little bit of an overview of the training. So you want to lift heavy, you want to have good intensity, you want to train to near failure, you want to do around about 3 sets, you want to train each body part 2 to 3 times a week-ish, and then you work your cardio around that.
Right.
So that's a bit of a summary.
And so we're working our meals around the protein.
Yep.
And adding, and I want to bring in something a little sort of before we sort of wrap this up, is we found some interesting studies on brain chemistry, particularly a chemical in your brain called glutamate.
Yes.
Now, for those people who don't know, glutamate's very abundant in your brain. It's in your food, it's in meat, vegetables, and all that sort of stuff. But what we found was that if you had lower levels of glutamate, which is an excitatory neurotransmitter, you actually fared better with fat loss and weight loss and muscle gain.
Yes.
That's remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah. So high glutamate levels activate the stress response. So if someone has MSG, that's a good example of glutamate, and they go, oh, my heart's racing, I'm sweating, I'm anxious, I feel I can't sleep, because it's excitatory. So it's stimulating that neurotransmitter in the brain. So everything's like anxious and
I've got a little bit of bad news. One of the most things you can stimulate glutamate production is drinking alcohol. So that's one of the mechanisms.
Well, half the people are going to be I'm not happy about that.
I know, but alcohol's a terrible thing on all this sort of stuff. It's like, or if you have a beer, but don't drink every day. This is a time to give up drinking. It really is, and so unfortunately, it's time to look good, and you want to burn body fat and build muscle. No, there's no room for alcohol. And you want to have a little bit, all right, there's a little bit of damage. It's still damage. Just acknowledge it. It's not like it won't do me any harm, because it does.
Yeah, it does. And it's liver issues and all that sort of stuff.
Quite incredible. So,
yeah, definitely.
All right, so we've got some strategies. A couple other minor things I'd like to add is maybe what are your thoughts on branched chain amino acids adding to this, because they can preserve muscles? And
yes. So branched chains. So people use branched chains, maybe not. Oh, well, some people maybe don't use them the right way. Around.
That's a good
So point. A lot of people go crazy on the branched chains. I need my branched chains because they're going to help with my muscle protein synthesis and stop the breakdown.
Because I'm losing weight, but I need to stay anabolic.
So they're sipping on them all day.
I'm not. This is not branched chains.
So if you have too many branched chains, it can impact your blood sugar levels and create insulin issues.
Well, there's isoleucine, leucine, and valine. And the valine stimulates insulin.
Yeah.
Which stimulates growth of muscle. But if you have to drink on that all day, you're in trouble.
Yeah, yeah. So you want to be working your BCAAs in around your training when your body will utilise them. So that's kind of where you want it. So, I think BCAAs are great, but work them into your training. So work them in around your training. So post-training, your post-workout meal, or you drink whatever you're having. BCAAs can be really helpful as well.
Wow.
I've got something else for you, Steve.
Go for it. Yeah, hit me with it.
Metabolic adaptation, Steve.
Oh, what the hell's that? Did you make that up, did you?
So this is another thing that can happen.
All right.
So the body's whole role in life is to keep you alive.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to do that the best way that it can, the easiest way, the easiest sort of channels it can. So the body will adapt to a calorie deficit. So when you talk about plateaus and things, the body will start to slow down metabolic function to line up with the calorie intake that you're having.
Gotcha.
So as you lose weight, your basal metabolic rate decreases, so therefore you're burning less calories at rest, and that's your body's way of saying, hey, don't lose too much weight, because you need the weight on there for all these processes. If you're a woman, or you need it for things, same with a man, you need it for different things. So therefore you've got to make sure that you're not dropping your calories too low for too long.
Right.
Because then the body's starting to adapt, slows everything down, and makes everything harder.
Yeah.
So that's why when we said that at the beginning, you, as a sort of an average sort of target, drop your calorie intake by 25% below your maintenance level. And then this is where you can start to manipulate it. Because if you start to plateau in your body, you go into that metabolic adaptation, then you need to bring your calories up again.
Yeah.
And that will stimulate the metabolic function to start up again. And what I used to do when I used to do programs for people and diets and things, I would put high calorie days, low calorie days, high, low, because it keeps the body guessing, it keeps it burning, and it doesn't put you into this metabolic adaptation where it's starting to slow everything down. So that's another thing. So if you're finding I'm not losing weight, then look at your calorie intake. Look at your training, and sometimes people go, well, I'm just going to have to drop my calories lower and increase my exercise.
Yeah.
But actually what you really need to do is increase your calories and drop your exercise back a bit.
Opposite.
The opposite.
And you're 100% right. And the reason where this came in was about 100,000 years ago, when humans were starting to get a foothold, Homo sapiens, us.
Yes.
We didn't eat 3 times a day. We didn't eat at 6 o'clock and all this sort of crap. Sometimes we didn't eat because we just didn't catch any food that day, or nothing was growing. So our body adapted to that.
Yeah.
And said, you won't starve to death. We'll just reduce your metabolism until you can gorge again and kill that kangaroo. Yeah. If you're in Australia or Goanna or whatever the hell you're feasting on. So this is a survival mechanism and we haven't lost that survival mechanism, which is why in our world obesity is more of a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Compared to this sort of, but that's metabolic adaptation is probably the oldest adaptation that humans have been.
Exactly. And here's one that I see all the time in clinic, and this is, I'm sorry I'm picking on the females, but I just
pick on them.
They have more problems with the weight loss.
They have more problems, full stop, you could say that.
Well, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on. So this is what I see really commonly. Women that come to me and they train a lot and they're dieting and they're like, my thyroid's slowed down. I'm having thyroid issues. Yeah. What's going on? Well, that's just a reaction in the body to overtraining, undereating. It's slowing down your metabolic function. So it actually lowers your T3, your T4. So that's your production of your T4, which then your conversion to your T4 to T3 is also impaired. So your hormone levels, your thyroid hormone levels go down. Therefore, that's slowing your metabolic function. So I have women come to me, young women all the time, that are on thyroid medications because they're like, well, my T3 is really low. They're training their butt off. They're not eating enough. I'm like, you need to eat more and slow down, and your thyroid will come back up. So that's something that can change, when you're having too low calories for too long.
Right. That's scary because that's what a lot of women and men do.
Yeah.
They starve themselves.
And that's the body trying to re-regulate and go, okay, well, there's not enough coming in and we're just burning through it with all this exercise. We need to slow everything down to try to hang on to some of this, some energy.
Gotcha.
So that's something you need to really be careful of. So, and then, there's the muscle, you'll start to see muscle loss. So classic example is this woman comes to me, she's training a lot, she's really restricted diet. She's like, I'm losing muscle, I can't maintain my muscle mass, I'm really tired all the time, I'm not sleeping, I'm blah, 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 all these things. That's because you're doing too much, and that metabolic adaptation is kicked in, and then it's now starting to then go the other way where it's saying, well, now we need to start burning through, taking the protein from your muscle because we're not getting enough in, even if you think you're eating enough to maintain. So, and then as we said at the beginning, it affects all your hormones. Yep. So your testosterone, your growth hormone, all that sort of thing then becomes dysregulated. So when you're doing a fat loss campaign, it's not just lower your calories and you have 1,500 calories for 12 weeks straight and this is your protocol, your gym protocol, and you do this every day for 12 weeks, it doesn't work. No. So you have to keep adapting to when your body is trying to adapt. You've then got to counter that. And so that's a big key that some people really struggle with.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, last hormone, Ghrelin. What do you know about Ghrelin?
Well, Ghrelin, so isn't it like the hunger hormone, they say the growling. Hormone. So the G for growling, so that's your hunger hormone.
So this is what happens when you eat less. Your ghrelin level goes up because you get vastly more hungry. Now, you can ignore that if you're tough, but what if you're not tough? I mean, this is where people can fail.
Yes.
So there's, it's a really tricky one. You've got a hormone release telling you to eat, and it's a very strong hormone.
Yeah.
So, a way to overcome that is to stop eating refined carbohydrates because they're bad for everybody.
Yeah.
But in today's podcast, they're the work of the devil, okay? You don't want refined carbohydrates in this podcast, like sugars and flour and all that crap. You've got to cut it out. There's no room for that today. There's room for plenty of lean protein, even fatty meats like fish and that sort of thing. Great. And restrict your carbohydrates down to the nutrient-dense carbohydrates, the berries.
And that's the key. You don't want to take your carbohydrates out altogether.
Nope.
Because therefore you will lose more muscle mass because obviously we need the carbohydrates for the glucose, all that sort of thing. So, but the carbs that I like are potato, sweet potato, like your actual vegetables, things like that, fruits, and then again you put your carbs around your training so that you're actually utilizing the energy that you're taking in the carbohydrates that are actually going to replace the glycogen stores, help with the recovery and all that sort of thing. And that's, I think, some people that struggle with, they go, well, I'm going to drop my carbs right out, but then they're not replacing that macro with something else. So they've got the protein. So that's where ketogenic diets come into play a bit, because if there's no carb, they're then utilising the fat as energy. So that's the thing. But yeah, refined carbohydrates, get rid of them.
I find the amazing thing about this is there's so much controversy about this. There's people on paleo diets, there's people on keto diets, there are people who are on carnivore diets, and they seem to do well. So I think it's so different throughout the population. You've talked about it so much, genetic differences, microbiome differences.
Everything. And that's why we've said so many times one diet works for someone and not for someone else.
That's why there's so much argument on the internet.
Oh, and as we've said, we said one other time, everyone's right, because if it works for them, they think that it's right for them.
And even people online, they sort of go, oh, well, this works for me, and people will take it on, and this is where the problem comes in. But there's certain foods that are bad, and there's certain, we know, like the sugars and that sort of thing. But really, whatever works for you individually, but be objective with this.
Yeah.
If you're using things like DEXA, bioimpedance, make sure you're keeping muscle while burning fat, not losing muscle because you think it's fat.
And that's something we should do a whole podcast on this. And this is where with the semaglutide medications and things come in, and that bounce back. So people go like Ozempics and things, and they come off them.
We've done a podcast on that.
We have done a podcast on that
about 18 months ago.
Yeah, we should do a follow up because there's lots of new information about it.
Ooh.
But people have that bounce back effect when they come off it, and that's because exactly what we're talking about not doing here is they're starving themselves because they don't have an appetite much anymore.
No.
So they're burning through all their muscle, and then they come out at the end and they go, okay, I've lost all this weight or come off this now, and they've got very minimal muscle. Therefore, that's them, as we said, very metabolically active. They don't have that anymore. It's very good for insulin sensitivity and that sort of thing, utilises the sugars. So therefore, they have much more body fat than they have muscle, so therefore their metabolic function is terrible, so therefore they just start to put on more fat, and it goes on and on and on. And so that's what we're talking about here. When you do undertake a fat loss campaign, you want to maintain your muscle mass, and that's where this is all coming in. So you manipulate it all the way through. And the other thing I will say that I see a lot too for women is they say, I can't lose weight, and they're impatient. So they'll do a weight loss campaign or fat loss campaign for maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks, and they go, I haven't lost any weight. So they move on to do something else. That doesn't work, so they do something else and something else. It takes time.
Yeah.
So you need to give something at least 3 months to work, at least 3 months to start to see change. And it's not like, it depends on how much weight you have to lose, and it depends how metabolically healthy you are. If you're young and that sort of thing, it's a little bit easier than if you're older and you have a lot of other layers of stresses, inflammation, that sort of thing. Metabolic health maybe not as good, but you need to give something commit to it, and not just do 2-3 weeks and go, well, it doesn't work. So
it's very interesting, because when they say it doesn't work, what they're measuring is the scales.
Yes.
Now, what if in those 3 weeks, hypothetically, they've lost 1 kilo of fat and put on 1 kilo of muscle?
Yeah.
The scales will be identical.
Yeah, they will.
But it's a perfect result for them.
Yeah.
But they won't be able to see that.
Yeah. I always, when I spend gyms, I would always do, I used to do body calipers, but I'd also just do measurements.
Around the waist is important.
I never did get on the scales. You do measurements, because if you're losing weight around your waist, you're losing weight around your hips, then you're actually losing the body fat, not the muscle.
Well, Ronnie Coleman was always overweight.
Oh, yeah. BMI, we would have been obese according to the BMI
Probably
scale.
morbidly obese at 160-odd kilos or whatever the heck the guy was. Yet he had very low percent body fat, So, weight is irrelevant.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And that's what this is all about burning fat, keeping muscle, even putting muscle on.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, for one thing on body fat, women, guys, I was talking about the women all the time in this.
You're a woman, you can talk about women.
What's a good body fat level for a female that's not too low? Because again, I see it in clinic, women, if you've lost your cycle, your body fat's probably too low.
Yeah.
But 17% really is sort of the lower range of where you want you want to be for a female. You don't want to be too much below 17% because then you start to impact your hormones and things like that. So 17 to 19 to 20 is okay body fat.
Yeah, so I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought even 20 is fine. So.
Well, I got to 5.
Oh, Jeepers.
When my last comp, I was 5% body fat. Yeah, I had virtually no body fat on me. And it was not healthy, let me tell you. No. It was not healthy.
Well, we want to keep health. We're not going to pop you into a sculpting competition.
This is all about just being healthy. This isn't for people competing. Obviously, they're at a whole nother level. They don't need this. But people that just really want to lose that body fat, they want to change their body shape.
Yep.
It's all about maintaining that muscle and just working on dropping the fat off.
Look in the dress and look good naked.
Yeah, look good naked. Yeah, that's a saying. That's not us being.
No, it's all about what they say. Anything else, Nick, before we wrap this up?
No, I think we've covered it.
I think we've covered it. Yeah. I think we've done well.
Yeah. Let us know if there's anything else you want us to talk about in regards to this. If there's anything else you want us to talk about in regards to fat loss training or anything.
Anything. We'll do topics. I think we've done 500 something. Yeah. Should know that. 465. See, it just came to me. How many we've done of these things? So loads of them.
Yeah.
So if you've got any questions, shoot them in. That's what we want to do.
Definitely.
Hey, Nick, we've got some FAQs.
FAQs are back.
I love them.
It's exciting. I used to love FAQs.
Now, Sarah, as in the song Sarah. The song Sarah?
Yeah, I do.
Storms are brewing in your eyes.
Oh, hang on. No, I'm thinking of a different one.
Oh, yeah, there's a few Sarah songs.
Oh. Jeez,
Steve,
going on a tangent.
I better go on a question. Okay, so Sarah asks, I've been struggling with acne for years and have tried all sorts of creams and medications, but nothing seemed to work. I'm wondering if naturopathy could be the answer to clearing my skin naturally. As a student on a tight budget, do you have any affordable tips or remedies that might help? Nick, acne, full disclosure here, I did some talks in 2013 with Dr. Douglas Groves on two dermatologists on acne. So I've got a bit of information in this area. But what do you do for someone with acne?
Well, first of all, you're doing creams, medications, depends what you've been doing.
Probably benzoyl peroxide, maybe antibiotics.
Yeah.
Probably Roaccutane, maybe. That's a very strong vitamin A derivative for the skin. Yeah. I don't know which ones, didn't say. But
so you want to be looking internal.
Yes.
Anything skin-related is internal mostly because it's the body trying to get rid of something through the skin if it can't detox it properly. So first of all, you want to look at your hormones. And this, I guess, how far do we go into this? So, sorry, man, I just hit. I'm so excited about FAQs being back.
I know, it's good. I like it.
Down. Where depending on where the acne is located, you can get a bit of indication about what's driving it. So if it's relocated for Sarah as a female, obviously, hopefully, then...
Don't say that anymore, obviously.
If it's around the jawline and the neck, it's very hormone driven, and generally it can be a high progesterone levels or high testosterone levels.
Yep, androgens,
Yeah, if it's sort of around the cheek area, it can be more gut related.
Okay, good.
And across the forehead can be sort of small intestine sort of area. So that can give you a bit of a clue to start with. So if it's hormonally driven, then you want to look into getting your hormones a little bit rebalanced. Maybe if you've got, maybe low progesterone levels or high progesterone levels, PCOS is a possibility as well with that. Otherwise, as you said, there can be some dysbiosis in the gut that is creating a bit of an issue, or liver. So if you're having issues with liver detoxification, then you can start to get a build-up of toxins, recirculation, that sort of thing. So if you're on a bit of a budget, what I would say is start with diet. Make sure you're cutting out all your sugary foods, your high carbohydrate foods.
Yep.
Dairy is a really big driver of acne. So cut your dairy out. Work on some gut stuff. So if you get bloating and that sort of thing, or you have any bowel issues, then there might be gut stuff there. It's something simple. You can start with some apple cider vinegar and see if you can start to help with your digestive function. And then even if you're on a bit of a budget, get some teas that can help with detox. So liver detox and the gallbladder, so your dandelions, your globe artichokes. Yellow dock and burdock are really good for depurities to get things out.
Really good, yeah.
So that's a bit of a on the cheap way to maybe start.
I think you've done well there, Nick. That's a really good start to things. We better get on to the next one.
Yeah. Do you want me to read this one?
I can read it because you can answer it because you're in practice.
Oh, am I answering them all? Oh, no pressure.
Oh, this is a good one. I'll answer it. But Emma writes another song, Emma.
Is it? What's the Emma one?
Oh, pretty Emma.
I don't know that
LRB.
I don't know.
Little River Band.
I knew that.
Can you guess where they're from?
Australia. No.
They're from Little River in down near Geelong in Victoria.
Australia.
Yeah, I know. You got it sort of right. They're from the world. No, great band. Glenn Shorrock and who else was the lead singer of?
Yeah, who else, Steve? Who was it?
There was a guy called now. What was his name? I got to remember now. That was Glenn Shorrock and Johnny Farnham.
Oh, Johnny Farnham.
He was about 3 years.
Little Johnny.
Oh,
That's what they used to call him, didn't they, Little Johnny? Did they not?
I don't know. I've never heard of him called Little Johnny, but anyway.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't before my time.
Oh, okay.
I need older John.
Anyway, Emma says, and I'm not making this up. I'm a huge fan of the podcast and listen every week.
Oh, we love you, Emma.
I'm looking for a natural way to boost my energy, similar to what caffeine does. From a naturopathic perspective, are there any foods or remedies that can give me the same pickup without the crash? I'd love to hear what you suggest. Wow, everyone wants more energy, Nic. What do we do?
Well, basic, cut out the sugar. Because you're going to get your energy spike and then it's going to dump you. That's probably the biggest thing I see with energy production.
Absolutely.
Is people are just not eating right. So you want to have your blood sugars balanced throughout the day. Protein, protein, protein. Each meal, protein. Balance your blood sugars. Don't have any sugar foods, highly refined carbohydrates and things like that. Maintain that energy production throughout the day. Hydration is another one. I find people who are dehydrated, chronically dehydrated. That creates a lot of fatigue.
Yeah.
So that's another one. And a naturopathic perspective, so remedies, there's so many.
Siberian ginseng is one of my favourites.
Siberian is amazing.
Ashwagandha.
Yep, ashwagandha.
And the activated B vitamins.
B vitamins is amazing. I use Bs all the time. Even magnesium as well.
Yeah.
Energy production as well.
See, everyone thinks it puts you to sleep, but I just drank a whole ton of it.
Does both. Like I said, I take it morning and evening.
Joking. I'm not tired. I feel good. I'm full of magnesium and.
Yeah, so diet, food-wise, you just avoid those foods that will spike your blood sugars. That's the biggest thing I see. But I'm so tired all the time. It's because you're spiking your blood sugar and then it's dropping off. So keep your blood sugars stable. So lean proteins, healthy fats, and your healthy carbohydrates is a good one. And then remedies, all those herbs.
All those ones. And I'd add to that intense exercise somewhere throughout the day.
Yeah, exercise definitely. Yes, and sleep. That's another one.
Oh yeah.
Make sure you're sleeping properly. People are going to bed at midnight, watching TV till midnight, and then going to bed.
Well, they have a dog that gets them up all night.
Oh yeah, that too. I don't know who would do that.
Crazy. All right, next one, final one. A long-time listener, first-time caller. I love that. Yeah. I've been wondering, what are the signs that my body might need a detox? Is detoxing even a thing anymore? And if so, how can naturopathy help with that? I'd really appreciate any advice of what I can give. Like what? Wow. Is it a thing? Is it still done?
Well, first, what are some of the signs that your body might need a detox or that it's full of toxins or has some toxins? Is skin issues.
Yep.
Fatigue. Odor, like body odor.
Body odor, yeah.
That's a big one. You can have like nail changes. You can have hair. Your hair could be falling out. There's some of the signs. You
Constipation.
Tongues. Yep. Bloating, like gut issues.
Lack of energy.
Yeah, all that sort of thing. So that can be some of the signs. Is that your body might need. Okay, when I say your body might be struggling to detox, that's probably a better way of putting it. Is detox even a thing anymore? Look, I don't do detoxes specifically. I open up detox channels.
Ooh, that's a good answer.
Because your body has amazing organs called kidneys, liver, bowel, skin, that help to detox things every day, and lungs.
I'm breathing as we talk like this, so
you are breathing.
Oxygen. I know you wouldn't believe it. I'm just filled. But things are coming out of my lungs like excessive CO2. That's a detox.
It is.
So I am detoxing. Now, not that you need to know this, but my bowels are going through peristalsis. I don't need to go to the toilet, but my bladder is filling up as we sit here. So all these things have to go out. So we are detoxing all the time, whether we like it or not.
The body's an amazing detoxing machine. So if you do need a detox, then I'd be looking at your detox organs and maybe working on that. So liver, as you said, liver is probably one of the big ones that I see. And that's when you start to have skin issues and things like that. You can be liver. So, bitter foods are really good to stimulate that bile production, which helps with digestion and liver. Bitter foods, apple cider vinegar, like your dandelion root teas and things like that can be really good.
Dandelion.
So lots of water for hydration to clear the kidneys. So it's I don't do specific detoxes. I just people to actually have their detox organs working well all the time.
Yes.
And then, because we're taking in so many toxins all day, every day anyway, whether it's through environment, breathing it in foods and things. So you want to make sure that all these pathways are working well every day anyway. So it's not just a 12-week detox and move on. It's an everyday look after all these organs, and then you won't have an issue.
Couldn't agree more, Nic. Perfect answer. Well, thanks, Nic. Thanks for answering those FAQs. Yeah. Please, if anyone's listening, submit your FAQs to Nic and I, and we'll talk about them.
Yeah,
we love it. So send them in.
If you don't have a brain, you're in trouble. I was going to say that the scarecrow took I shouldn't have done that because I'm not good at maths.
Not
this
250.
Is all getting cut out, right? As soon as I said it, I went, far out. I just said the F word then.